Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the last session for this evening at this beautiful venue of the horticulture and the 13th edition of Column here due to the tireless efforts of Malvika Banerjee and her team. So we are delighted to be here this evening, and I am very, very happy to be in conversation with someone who needs no introduction. I think he is so popular, and all his books are on all the bestseller lists in the country and beyond. This is his new book, and it's called Ahimsa. And what I found quite fascinating, and then when I opened the book, I realized that that's where it came from, the color of the cover. The lapis lazuli that was so popular in the Indus Valley civilization, and that's where the color was chosen from. As we delve into the book, I think Devdutt will take us through the reasons why he wrote this book, and he has given it a very interesting title. It's called Ahimsa. That's up for you to see. Being a student and a teacher of history for the last 30 years or so, I just want to begin with this little story, and then I'll hand it over to him. In the classroom, the Indus Valley civilization is taught to school children at the middle school and again at senior school. And I do remember this very vividly, that one thing that is mentioned again and again by history teachers in the classroom is that there is so much that we are yet to discover about the Indus Valley civilization, primarily because the script has not been deciphered. So, and that is something that children find very fascinating in contrast to, let's say, the Egyptian or the Mesopotamian civilization. So, and Bahata is here this evening, and maybe many of you don't know much about her, but you know everything about Devdutt. So I'm going to take the liberty of just telling you a little bit about her. I mean, both of us, we were sharing this, that we were completely fascinated by her work. And she is primarily a computer scientist, and she is in the process of working tirelessly to work on the deciphering of the script of the Indus Valley civilization. And she's going to tell us a lot more about her research work and how she has been proceeding with it. But before that, my first question to Devdutt is that when he chose to write this book, and he has given it a very interesting twist, because he says that he feels that the people of the Indus Valley civilization, they were monastic in nature. I want you to elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. So, you know, everybody notices something peculiar about the Indus Valley civilization. So I approached it as a mythologist. And in mythology, three things matter: stories, symbols, and rituals. Here, since you don't know the language, you will never get access to the stories. But you have access to the symbols, and you see the architecture. And what people don't realize is that architecture talks to you. The way a building is designed, the way a house is designed, a culture which uses the same sized bricks continuously is a highly organized culture. There's a lot you can study from art. So people, you know, this thing that only if you know the script you will understand a culture is a very Protestant way of thinking, where it's a 19th century Protestant approach to thinking, which is like a text will tell you everything. But so many cultures don't have languages, and we still know so much about it. Any anthropologist will tell you that they have so many things to say. So when you look at the architecture of Harappa, the one thing which strikes you is that these are people who are conflict averse. They are having these gated communities. They have lots of gates. They are very controlled ecosystem. And compared to Mesopotamia and compared to Egypt, which is around the same time, they don't have images of violence. They don't celebrate violence. I mean, at the same time, 4,500 years ago, Egypt has images of human heads piled up. Mesopotamia has images of human heads piled up. You don't find these images. You find images, there are only two seals. There are images of animals being attacked by humans. You have supernatural beasts, butting heads with each other. There are bisons fighting with each other. But humans, there are only two images which show humans fighting, and that's the cover. If you see, the cover of the book shows these two men fighting. One of the seals shows them fighting with trees, and the other shows them fighting with spears. And in both cases, there's a woman standing in between. And typically, I would see this tiny seals, they're barely 10 centimeters, they're barely the size of your finger. And scientists will say, oh, this is two men fighting over a woman. And I would say, okay, only a man will come up with this interpretation. Because obviously, if two men are fighting and there's a woman in between, it has to be over her. The possibility that she's stopping the fight is not being seen. That she is bringing, stop being stupid boys. That idea is not there because it's the male gaze which is shaping their interpretation. But that is being published everywhere, and after you publish it, as you know, the media knows very clearly, if you repeat something 1,000 times, people start believing it. And I'm like, let's question these images, and this is clearly showing a culture which doesn't like conflict. And that's why the word ahimsa came in. Because when we say ahimsa, we think of vegetarian food. And I keep telling people that, most violent people I know, the most vicious people I know are vegetarians. So, like in India's, 80% of India's economy is controlled by vegetarians, as we know. So, and these people ate all kinds of food. They ate fish, they ate, all kinds of food. So clearly, by that logic, they are not ahimsa. So that vegetarian logic goes away. But what I noticed is that the vegetarian lobby in India is a mercantile lobby. And Harappa is a mercantile city. And all mercantile people have a fascination for monasticism. Across India, 2,500 years ago, wherever you find Buddhist images, wherever you find Jain images, trade routes existed. So if you extend the logic to 4,500 years ago, you will start saying that here is Harappa, which clearly is a mercantile civilization. Lapis lazuli from Afghanistan is being transported from the Indus Valley to Oman and to Sumeria, Mesopotamia, which is modern Kuwait. It's going all the way there by these traders. So if I use the same logic and I observe that they are not very violent, they're clearly very monastic. And that was the idea that I nurtured. The famous Pashupata seal, which people just say that it's Shiva. And I'm like, look at the animals around. These are the same animals you find in their seals. They are wild male animals, always wild, never domesticated. And they are the same images that you find in the seals of the city, the main seals. By logic, all this, everything, to put a long story short, it's a mercantile civilization, for sure. It's probably a monastic civilization. And that is where I was drawn towards. I keep saying, it's a Baniya civilization. It's not a Brahmin civilization. Because everybody wants to see Sanskrit there and Vedas there and anything in India has to be religious. We forget that India is built by Baniyas. And as an Indian people, we are ashamed of saying that we are commercial people. But all the monasteries in India, all the temples in India are funded by mercantile people. And I was aware of this a little bit when I started trying to see what is the script saying. And I knew it was a mercantile. It was quite clear. And then suddenly one day I'm doing a academia.edu on Indus scripts. And I was reading about the various theories. And, there are two broad schools. One is that it is language. And the other, it's an emoji. The symbols. But emoji is something that the Gen Z understands. If you say symbols, it sounds very exotic. But I said emoji. We talk through emojis, right? I can send an emoji and break up with you. And you suddenly realize Harappa is full of emojis. And you're saying you can't read it. Of course you can read it. It's an emoji. Ask Gen Z. And you are so obsessed with, language. And everybody's looking for a Kalidas in Indus Valley civilization. In all probability, you'll find an Adani or an Ambani. So Kalidas won't be there. Bhavabhuti won't be there. Vyas and Valmiki, I don't know. But I'm really fairly confident you'll find traders, businessmen there. And therefore, when I came across one paper which approached this very laterally and approached it not in the typical, there has to be consonants and vowels and what is called, deductive logic. You already decide something and then you go towards subject. That's a deduction. But I saw someone who was doing the opposite, looking at the data and moving. It was more inductive. So you're sort of looking at what is being said. And I had already said I was seeing the monastery and I found this paper and I saw this name over there, Bahata. And I'm like, okay, this is an Indonesian person. Or some...
In fact, we were having this discussion and we said that I also was very intrigued, when I saw her name for the first time. There was Bahata and there was Ansumali. And I was wondering, okay, which part of the world is she from? And then the heart sort of skipped a beat because there was a Nee Mukhopadhyay. So I said, hello, she's Bengali. She's like me. And then I figured it out that it's Bahata. It's like the river that flows. That's where it came from. But initially that was not what I thought. Like you went to Indonesia,
so I just
carry
wrote
on.
a mail saying that very impressed by your paper or something like that. She'll have the original paper mail. But I just said very impressed, very good, because the approach, see, in a scientific paper, especially in subjects like this where it's not mathematical, you have to look at the approach. And the approach has to be, it was not pedestrian. Because nowadays on social media, you'll find 5,000 people saying we have decoded it. And you're like, oh God, this is so pedestrian. And most of them will be men who will say it's Sanskrit. And I'm like, oh God, it's like really old school 19th century. Go back to the colonial empires. Find some new way of thinking.
No, and there is this thing, as we were discussing, this thing that is very popular nowadays in the country, this acquisition of the civilization and saying that, no, after all, it was Vedic, and we have to accept that it was Vedic. Now, why so? That is where I think the important questions come in.
So I like the approach paper because, when you have a science background, you see a paper, there is... And I knew that there were professors who were arguing, saying that when I showed this paper to my other professor friends, there were people, this is very, very rigorous, but they had issues with it. But it was a very scientific discourse. So I wrote to her, and I didn't know it was a her also. I just wrote a mail saying that very impressed professor or something like that. And I got back, oh, sir, I'm a fan of yours. My son loves this. And I'm like, who is this person? And I started Googling her, and then we became, I started connecting her, and I spoke to her, and I was like, I was genuinely impressed by the approach. And you will see that, and maybe we should ask her to rather just
Bahata, I think you should come in at this point and tell everyone a little more about, what triggered your thinking and how you went into the process of this rigorous research, and also what you were telling us that, what led you to looking at the script as these emojis, as he says.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. So first of all, thanks Devdutt for being so selfless for all the years we have been talking and for being so encouraging and generous. And thanks to Malavika Banerjee and team and everyone in the audience for coming here today. So regarding in the script, how I started it, I won't make it up like saying that from my childhood I was trying to decode it. I love scientific thinking, and for some reason I became a software engineer. But I did not like it. I did not want myself to remain only in software field. I wanted to do something more. And I had learned about some very interesting papers by Professor Rajesh P.N. Rao and Raroja Adhikari et al. In Science PNS and PLOS One. They had published regarding the existence of syntax in Indus script and how mathematically they could prove that there are various syntaxes there. So I wanted to do something with the Indus script, and one fine day in a social setup I met Professor Adhikari, and then I volunteered, and then for some reason what he wanted to do, he was into a different machine learning approach for corpus building, and I wanted to check more of the meaning parts of the inscription. So I kind of moved independently after a while, and that is how I started. And then because I was nobody, I am not a linguist, I am not an Indologist, I am not epigraphy epigraphist. I have no background in Sanskrit or Tamil. So I was very empty. So all I had was a script and its patterns. And as Professor Alice Kober, who had made a great contribution towards linear bead, a Greek script, its decipherment, she said that first let us stay in the paradigm of the patterns. Later, let us move to the paradigm of sounds or meanings or whatever. So I looked at the script for a long time after my long office days, and I started seeing patterns. And when I thought I am not hallucinating, I resigned from my job for almost an year to totally dedicate my time to decoding the script. And that is from 2015, I think, almost an year. And that is a time when I had a lot of breakthroughs. So all the key findings were already there in those 10 or 11 months. But again, publishing in a peer-reviewed journal takes a huge effort. So I never uttered a single word about it before I published in a nature group journal called, that time it was called PalComs. Now it is called HSS Comps, about the structural reality of the script. And then in 2019, I published that. Then in 2021, I was actually trying to find, because I was very much convinced that it is a mercantile script. I'll say when I present a short story to you why, but then when I understood that, I was trying to see that even if we do not have decoding of Indus civilization script, we have a lot of Mesopotamian scripts decoded. And then, because Indus people had, traded vehemently, as you will find in Devdutt's book, which like encompasses so much from so many domains. So Indus people traded with Mesopotamians, mostly indirectly, sometimes directly. So indirectly through Persian Gulf. So I thought if there is some commodity which will be totally Indian subcontinent will only have it, and it will be fossilized in the Mesopotamian documents, then I would know that what kind of naming or symbolism would have been used. And then in Iranica, an Iranian linguist called Tavernier, he said that Pilu, the name of ivory, should be having its origin in Old Indian texts. And then I started checking it, and then I found this 2021 paper was written, which I will say that the ivory word from Indus civilization and the elephant word was traveled through Persian Gulf to Mesopotamia and lived fossilized in many of the unrelated languages as a non-change Indus word, the way across Indian languages we will find the word for kangaroo, because we don't have the animal, so we don't have a name for it, so we simply use the foreign name. So similarly, the Piru or Pilu became Piru because Persian Gulf people did not pronounce la, and then it became Pirus and all Piru in ancient Akkadian documents. So that is how, by checking the root of the word, that toothbrush tree was also called Pilu. So I found that it is because the ancestral or ancient Dravidian speaking people at least were present in a significant population there according to archaeogenetic studies like genetics, history, ethnohistory, like Vishwamitra's stories are there, and also So from there I understood that, okay, this is ancestral Dravidian symbolism. And then in 2023, I have published my taxation-related paper, which talks about the bases, like what are the main type of meanings Indus inscriptions are encoding. And then I have certain specific decodings I will try to talk about, which are published in seminar proceedings of 1 in national and 3 international seminars.
You can see only people in Calcutta will understand this level of thinking. It's very refined thought. But I just want to say one point. The word, in South India, the word for elephant is Pillai. And for Ganpati, they'll say Pilla. Pillayar, Pillai, Pillai. And in Odisha, they say the word Pilla for a child. Pilla. So, and that's the word which he's saying is found in Mesopotamia, which is Pila, Piru. So you suddenly realize, because they don't have an elephant. So the tooth becomes important. But I think you should talk about, this is more familiar to people, I think. Can they do it? Can they show it here?
Is it possible to put it on that screen as well?
Oh yeah, the podium is blocking it.
It will be difficult to remove the podium because it's wired and all that.
But can they show it here?
Okay, they just give 2 minutes, they'll move the podium.
It like this, just.
I'll start talking then.
Yeah.
I'll start talking so that I have more time. And how
Keep
much
your
time
phone
should
there.
I take?
10 minutes.
So I'll keep it. 10 minutes, okay. I have the stopwatch.
She's
going.
very worried about keeping to time. You don't have to keep the stopwatch, I tell you. You go and speak over there.
Archaeology seminars are very strict, so I always do that. I storm through. So, yeah, so
Thank
as
you,
I...
thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep your phone here so that it's... Don't
Okay.
worry. Don't worry.
So, I will talk about my claim decodings with a disclaimer that this is what I have claimed in published and cited papers, that I have found the symbol for gold, ratti seeds or gunja seeds, and beads, like beads, which were very important trade commodities of Indus civilization. And then the symbols for gemstones, glazed ceramic kind of things called faience, steatite, etc., which were very important commodities of Indus civilization and very important technical achievements for them, and highly polished metals, etc., and how those things were used in the context of trade, taxation, commercial licensing, commodity control, and access control. So, next please. So this is in a mature period, Indus civilization had actually encompassed an area of almost 1 million square kilometer of ancient Indo-Pakistani subcontinent. As a thought experiment, if you want to have a script that will be used in such a huge area in a standardized way, normally you would possibly not look for linguistic symbols because people of linguistically diverse, culturally diverse communities will use it. So they did not do that either. So I'll give you the story why. So next, please. So this is an imaginary AI-generated image. So before that, I will give you a background. So the root of the civilization was since Mehergarh around 7000 BC. So over the millennia, various settlements in this area specialize in various crafts and trades. So after, say, around 2600 to 1900 BC, which we call the mature Harappan era or integration era or the Indus civilization. So that time, there were thousands of settlements, some towns, some big cities, many hinterlands, agricultural and craft-centric areas, which were excessively trading with each other. And the economy has become so complex that possibly the big merchant guilds, artisan guilds, settlement-based rulers might be monarchs, might be oligarchs, might be republic settlements, some of them. They had to come together to have some standardization. So in this era, that is 2600 to 1900 BC, we see standardized measurement system from which other maybe volumetric measurement systems like pottery, baskets, etc. are perishable. We do not get much of that measurement system, but we get the standardized cubical weights, which are mostly standardized with a few regional variations across this area. And then we have the script along with them. So this was, according to me, say that where we are meeting here, they had meetings where people from different, guilds and different, presenting different settlements would come together, and they will say, okay, if a caravan moves from one city to other, if a single caravan moves to 5 cities with its merchandise, it cannot keep on paying taxes to the same rulers 3 times. And it cannot have such difference of price and all. So let us have some standardization. Let us have some standardization of the measurement system. In ancient medieval Europe also we see that when city-states are coming, the standardization is coming. So similarly here that happened, and that is a time they thought they have to have a standardized mercantile script, which will be used on tiny seals and tablets. Tablets actually came almost 300 years after seals. I'll come to that. So they'll use the stamp seals. They will, at the city gates, at the places where they're having incoming, outgoing merchandise, they'll check all the merchandise and stamp soft clay tags with the thing that tax paid on what, with which rate, etc. And that will then the commodities can move to the controlled markets of the fortified Harappan cities, and the sellers can use that. So next, please. So as Devdutt said, it was a very inclusive civilization, we think, because when people had at that speed, they are moving to so many settlements across 1 million square kilometers. They were not moving through violence. They are moving through collaboration. So when we look at Indus script symbols, we should not say that the symbols are having a centrally imposed symbolism of any specific language, speech community, or culture, or religious belief. So even today we see that in Indian Ocean, the storms when hit us, all the countries that are getting affected, they get a rotational collaborative system of naming the storms, right? So similarly, Indus script actually was built over 700 years. New signs were included. So maybe a particular community who was great in a particular craft will come and say, this is how we call our craft and commodity. This is our symbolism. Please use it, and that will be used. So it's a great thing, because if we can at all decode Indus script, with more science, more symbols coming, with more archaeological excavations, we entered the symbolic world of Harappan people, which is much better than getting a phonetic script of 5, 6 signs, because Indus scripts are very brief. Only 2 signs, sometimes 1 sign. On average, 5 signs will be there. What can you get normally? You can get a name of a deity or a king or a place, etc., if it is phonetically spelled, right? But here, they did not do that. They had their commercial rule encoded, but the symbols don't have to be always prosaic. For example, on a coin, if you have Gajalakshmi's iconography, doesn't mean that the coin is used only for religious purpose. But the iconography shows that the people of Kushana era who were using the coins, not the issuer actually, believed in that deity, so the coin used that iconography. So that separation we should have. Indus symbols, some of them might have a religious root, some of them will mercantile root, a few of them will have language roots, but they will be used in the context of a mercantile script. Next, please. So this is the collaborative inclusive symbolism used in Indus script from Iravatam Mahadevan's database. I have taken the screenshot. So these are the seals, stamp seals. The below one is the tablet, the yellow one below. Next, please. So according to me, the script, it is a formalized script. So it is not a linguistic narrative. So different segments of the script will have different meanings given. Can you go to the next then? I will come back here. Yeah, so see, even in modern world, we have this kind of mechanism and we simply do not look at them. For example, we have this hallmark system where you will have 5 in UK and all, you will have 5 symbols. And the 5 symbols, 5 segments will be there, where each segment will have, say, sponsor's mark, fineness of the metal, what is the metal, what is the percentage of the alloy, who has issued it, kind of things, encoded. So in each segment of it, you will get only a few set of symbols. Can you come back to the previous one, please? So in Indus civilization script also, the terminal segment will have only a set of symbol, a very few. Then there will be, say, a pre-terminal symbol, which is, so terminal symbols according to me are for tax and license names. I cannot say why, like very long articles have been written for that. I'm just telling you the conclusions. So terminal symbols are possibly names of taxes and licenses, either expressed through names of commodities or through names of meteorological systems. Commodity, for example, if it is a grain tax, a grain symbol will say that. In ancient Indian epigraphy, you will see Dharnya Varga, Dharnya Deya. Nail Ayam means it is a grain-based revenue. Hiranya Deya, Hiranya Varga. So Hiranya Varga means the taxes which are paid through precious metals. Hiranya Ayam means tax on the precious metal. So in Indus civilization, the pre-terminal, in the script, the pre-terminal segment was most possibly giving the when there is that information, they were giving the tax-paying mode, like through grain or through precious metal or whatever. Then there will be a core segment where you will get name of commodities. So when the inscriptions increase in length, the core medium part will increase in length. Other parts will remain the same. You can see the same thing because the same mechanism has been used even in modern tax stamps. For example, the name here, the potato stamp or beer stamp, you can see the type of commodities naming the tax and all. And then the iconography and all is who is issuing the stamp, etc. And then the tax rate, type of, for this much potato, this much beer, this much rate, that kind of numerical symbols will be there. And when names of commodities will increase, when the economy will become more complex, that a single trader is given licenses for multiple related commodities like gold or precious stones, etc., then a medium segment where the commodity names are given will increase. Next, please. Next. So that is the reason. So ancient scripts like Egyptian hieroglyph, proto-cuneiform script, even linear B to some extent. So they have various mechanisms because the moment you do not want to encode names of random names or random words, you only need, okay, I am going to encode a business-related nouns or words, this many, then you don't need a phonetic writing, spelled writing. So most people, they don't check the script internal rules. So they say this is sound 1, sound 2, sign 3, and this is how we are joining them, and then we are spelling a word. But it has to be meaning 1, meaning 2, meaning 3. That's it established in my first paper, 2019 nature.com paper. But I cannot tell you how I have came here in 10 minutes, but it is there. So next, please. So the moment you, even if you use AI, artificial intelligence, cryptanalysis, whatever mathematics, if you treat a symbol-based script as phonetic script, you are going to get wrong answers. So that is a very important thing, that the basis of the nature of the script has to be established. And proto-cuneiform administrative tablets were like this. They used names of symbols of various commodities in various segments, various places, to show the transactional information. So if proto-cuneiform is a script, Indus script is a script also. It doesn't have to be alphabetic or syllabic to be a script. Next, please. So now I come to the some of the interesting parts. Like I will have 5 minutes. Okay, okay. So I have claimed to have decoded the symbol of gold and rati and precious stones and etc. So for gold, you can see if you look at ancient Indian languages also, because crucible blowpipe was a very important equipment in metallurgy, that you have to blow in a crucible, that is a vessel for melting or smelting the metal, right? And to attain, say, 900 degrees centigrade for copper, or say more than 1,000 degrees centigrade or something for iron, and etc. So means the temperature I might be wrong about, but I'm telling you the concept. So you have to blow in it, right? So by blowing, before bellows were invented. So that is why metallurgically, crucible blowpipe was a very important symbolism. From there, in the Nalin Dhama kind of words have come in across languages for goldsmith. Nali means blowpipe, Dhama means blowing. Yudu Kolive in Kannada. Then Kommu Kadu means again blower. From there goldsmith's word came, and then metalsmith's word came, blacksmith. Our Kamar is actually Dravidian Kommu Kadu according to Bengali linguists. So it's not only I'm saying. So then you see goldsmiths were using crucible blowpipe even after furnace and bellows came. So goldsmiths were always symbolized using crucible blowpipe. Next please. In Egyptian hieroglyph, you see, there are some consonant signs initially, and then there will be a meaning clue. That is the way Egyptian hieroglyph will be written. So at the end, you can see for goldsmith, metalworking, goldworking, this kind of meanings, a person is blowing into a crucible. That symbolism is used as a meaning clue, technically called semantic classifier or determinative. So you see, this is a tomb painting from Egypt. Next, please. Similar symbolism in Mesopotamian Sumerian script also, from Nappa or blowpipe blowing, the smith is called Nappahu, who is blowing. Next, please. So it's not that they are learning from each other, they are using the similar technology at the same time, and from their cognitive mechanism, their perception of the world, they are using those symbolism in their own ways to express the similar meanings, sometimes. So in Indus civilization script, this is the crucible blowpipe symbol. Before it was mistaken as mortar pestle symbol. So there were various reasons I thought it was crucible blowpipe. For example, you see the fire symbol is given in some of the variations of the sign here, where below the vessel showing that it has a fire association. And then, it's a very interesting thing, in a goldsmith's hoard of Mohenjo-daro, you get a goldsmith's tool. So the hoard is goldsmiths with a lot of unfinished ornaments, etc. as well, with very expensive jewelry, carnelian belt. But the goldsmith's tool, like a needle or stylus, which was sometimes held between teeth by the goldsmith, very much was in use, has this symbol scribbled on it, which became a eureka point for me, because I was already, I was familiar with that kind of symbolic usages in other scripts. Next, please. So today in the previous one, please, once. So today in the assaying system using touchstone. So on touchstone, you have scratches of known purity, gold, and then you compare with unknown purity and you get the purity. Even today, along with acid test that is used, in Banavali of Indus civilization, touchstone methods, touchstone with gold streaks have been found. That is the first civilization that has got a touchstone found archaeologically. In Arthashastra, it is the first text that talks about touchstone method archaeologically. And this is a script, I say this is possibly a tool for that assaying, where the tip of the thing is used for checking. Actually, in Kotadavadli of Gujarat and another place now, Binjore, of copper smelting, similar tools have been found in the metal smelting context with copper body, gold tip. It is very much for the same reason, touchstone assaying, according to me. Next,
Bahata,
please.
can we now move from your eureka moment and come back?
Sure. 2 more minutes?
2 more minutes. Shana, are we okay with 2 more minutes? Okay, we are.
Thank you. So then I talk about Ratti, that is, even today we say Ratti bhar Vishwas nahi hai. That is an ancient unit used in archaeologically also for Indus civilization for the basis of weight. So this Ratti is even today used for precious metal and all. precious metal and precious stone measuring, right, we use. So I say this sign is the Ratti symbol, and that in the same hoard, it has been found on the other gold testing needle, like this, along with numerical expressions, which you can very much compare with 18 karat, 22 karat kind of expressions that we find in your modern ones. Next, please. Then I say that the fish signs are having the glittering kind of symbolism. So in some of the concepts will be very difficult and abstract to encode through direct symbols. So because we know that large population was from ancient Dravidian speaking community, other languages also surely existed. So across Dravidian languages, for glittering things like fireflies, lightning, gemstones, star, polishing, we have the mean-based words, that is fish. Fish is another shimmering thing in the water. Next, please. So according to me, with various archaeological contextual proof, like fish shine inscriptions are found in jewelers' shop or bead factories, then this linguistic thing, and proof, and that these fish sign symbols occur in the same place where commodity symbols occur, along with precious metal symbols very frequently, etc. I say that the fish signs were for gemstones, glazed faience, glazed teotite, highly polished metal, like sometimes you can see your image, right, in a highly polished metal. Those kind of commodities, they express that. That is an ancestral Dravidian thinking, cognitive mechanism that have been reflected. And next, please. And also, as Devdutt's book has very nicely said, apotropic or counter-witchcraft symbolism of fish also has been used, possibly even for non-Dravidian speakers. It was more acceptable in Indus civilization because in Mesopotamia, Meluhan beads were called fish eye beads because of various apotropic reasons, and also it looks like that. And according to me, money is the word of that, which has been also found fossilized in a 1400 BC document, El Amarna letters for Manihara. So, Mitanni king is writing to an Egyptian king, bargaining for a lot of precious things. He has given his daughter to him. Now he should give a lot of stones and all. So there you can see Manihara kind of words called Maninnu necklaces, which according to me is coming from Indus origin. Next, please. Done almost. So this is the iconography, this is the script. And for this kind of an inscription with the fish sign, precious gold sign followed by 3 strokes and the arrow symbol, according to me, it is the possible reading is precious items tax for gemstones payable by precious metals. Next, please. Similarly, the Ratti symbol, when used, not used on artifacts, when used on seals and tablets, possibly meant treasury, because Ratti, as we know, it's even Panchmark coins were based on this Ratti unit, archaeologically proven. Koshambi says that it's a proven fact. So treasury is often shown by this kind of currency unit. So possibly, according to the positional statistical behavior of the science, I say Ratti symbol might have been the treasury symbol. So another possible proposed reading is precious item tax payable through precious metals, that is crucible pi followed by 3, like 3 dhatu kind of a construct. And then before that, the fish symbols for those glittering commodities payable or paid to the treasury. Next, please. Done. So almost in time.
I think that's a lot of food for thought.
Yeah, Shona Moni, I think we have this endearing word in our Bengali things, right? So even if we cannot write a letter by Indus script, if you want to end the letter, you may encode Shona and Moni by Indus script symbols, maybe. Thank you.
I think people have a lot to take home from your presentation, Bahata. And Devdutt, some closing remarks before we open it up for questions.
Yeah, right now, Indus script is a hot topic because Stalin has given this $1 million prize or something like that. I mean, politicians have a lot of money. But I think the big argument in India is it a Brahmin script or is it a Baniya script? The Brahmins is looking...
a question here. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, I'll throw it to the audience too. Do we have to label the script? I mean, this is something we need to think about. I mean, again, we could just look at it as a script and not label it as a Brahmin or a Baniya or whatever.
Well, if you don't do that, unfortunately, Gen Z won't give the like thing. So clickbait is, you need a clickbait title. And the clickbait title is it a Brahmin script or a Baniya script?
I think we will hope that Gen Z sees more sense in the kind of research that Bahata is doing. And because it's always good to be an optimist and not be a pessimist. And let's hope Gen Z has more sense in labeling rather than looking at serious academic research. A couple of questions from the audience before we close for this evening. A microphone would be wonderful. There's someone there in the third row. Okay, we'll begin with the lady here.
This is fantastic. Is it working? Is it working? Yeah. Absolutely astonishing. Wonderful. And I think we all thought the same. And what diligence, what precision. Absolutely incredible. Tell me, why are you choosing to read the symbols left to right? And if so, why? And why not right to left?
Oh, I'm sorry if I have not mentioned it. So the symbols are read from right to left in the script. That is already a proven fact. For when the symbols are coming on seals, because seals have to be stamped on the impression, and like a mirror-like or like a kind of impression has to come. So seals are in intaglio, that is the reverse order. So in seals, you will find it in left to right, which helps us. But when you find it on the actual stamped clay tags or the miniature tablets, molded tablets, where you have to directly read the script, it is very much from right to left, sometimes radial and top to bottom. Thanks a lot.
Next question, the lady there in the third row, please.
Thank you very much. Absolutely incredible work, and thanks to you. Like for Egyptian hieroglyphics and other things, Rosetta Stone was the crucial thing in decoding it. And it seems your Eureka moment, your Rosetta Stone moment was the ivory and the pillow.
Yeah.
Was it the only thing, or there were other similarities you were finding which sort of led you to that path? And the second question is, how much of this theory has been truly accepted and has been accepted by the academics, because this needs to be, people need to know about it, and there needs to be a larger acceptance of it. So
thank you so much. So for my linguistic paper, that ancestral Dravidian symbol word, that paper, I have got praise by email from leading linguist called like Michael Witzel of Harvard, leading Sanskrit scholar, Vedic scholar. Then George Van Dream, who is the father of main proponent of the father tongue hypothesis. And Professor Anrita Abbi has recently written to me very kindly that she has liked my linguistic paper a lot. Regarding the script paper, I have been able to publish in the peer-reviewed Nature Group journal, HSS Comms, is actually very difficult thing. Even once my paper got rejected when the reviewer said that it has seminal contribution. Because of the technicality, the reviewers wanted to have me rewrite. The editor said no. So that is a regard that they have. So then I could publish after 1 year, after getting the technical things correct, because which excavation report, according to the archaeologists, is not so good, that I am referring to it. So those things when I got corrected, so I have, so then it got published there. So I think when it is published in that kind of a journal, and I think many leading archaeologists, say Professor Paolo Biaggi, And recently, Professor Greg Jamieson has also said that he has liked the idea. I'm just taking their names not for the endorsement, but at least they have said that they at least like the idea. Many of the leading archaeologists and scholars from various places have really liked the idea and praised that. And regarding the gold and Ratti symbol, Dr. Peggy Mohan's recent book, like Father Tongue Motherland, Penguin, right? She has cited this. The gold part is already published. The Ratti part is accepted to be published in an edited volume by some leading archaeologists. So I think I have got quite a lot of, encouragement, and I think I should not, like Devdutt is sitting here silently. This kind of people who have given me this kind of encouragement, selfless encouragement. So I have got from various, domains, because I would just want to say one thing. His interpretation, I don't know, it is up to the audience to think about it, to ponder on it, but about the unicorn, he has given a parallel. Again, it's up to the readers, but I found it astonishing. So I think when I got encouragement from him also, it meant a world to me. So yeah, I have got a lot of acceptance.
I'll just come in over here, because we were just discussing this before the session, and Devdutt actually made a very interesting point. Let's just hope and pray that this kind of rigorous academic research doesn't get embroiled in politics and get lost, because that's the hope of the hour. And let's really hope for that, because, both of us were on the same plane about this, because we really need to support such rigorous academic research. And if it sees the light of day and sound people accept it, wider acceptance will happen in due course, I'm sure. And let's hope our future generations can actually read about this decipherment on, one day. Any other questions? Okay, the last one there, please.
Hello. A wonderful session, loved it. And these gaps in history do frustrate me a lot. I just want to ask this question to both of you. Now we know the symbols, but we do not know the stories. Is it possible to at least partially piece back those stories from the local legends that exist?
See, there are stories, for example, but you have to, images don't talk the way words do. They talk differently. So you have images of tigers, not lions. And the tigers always take the form of a female. So it's the Sphinx. The Sphinx image is always there. Why are they showing these? And they're most probably feminine. Remember, they're very tiny images. So it's like stick figures. Very difficult to know whether they're male or female. Difficult to know whether they're cross-dressers. Because it can mean anything. These could be tribal rituals. But one image which is constantly shown, and the most popular image, is of these tiger women watching a man on top of a tree, which is probably the Shami or the Khejri tea. He's standing on top of that and he's calling another tiger to join him. Now, this is the only story that is very clearly there. And I suspect that this is a kind of a love story between a tiger goddess and a mortal man. A mortal man who chooses to be part of society, and the tiger goddess who chooses freedom. So you decide, you want to be the tiger goddess or the mortal man. Thank you.
So as I would like to conclude by saying that both of them have left us with a lot of food for thought this evening. And those of us who are really lovers of history and those who treasure mythology, there's a lot that you can look into. And we sincerely hope the very best for you, so that the research really sees the light of day and gains acceptance, and Devdutt, more power to you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here this evening, and thank you to the team, Kolkata Literary Meet, for having us over this evening.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Devdutt.